Alright, now that you accepted an offer on your home, you might be wondering what happens next and what should I prepare for? After our conversation today, you'll have a bird's eye view of what's about to happen during your closing process as the sale of your home is being finalized. My name is Andrew Finney and my passion is helping you make sense of real estate. If you need help finding a top agent where you live, or if you simply want to drop me a line to say hello, my contact info is below. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel now and like this video. Thank you. Okay, my friend, let's take a closer look at this. Fortunately, you're not alone. You'll obviously have your trusted real estate advisor that's working as your listing agent, and they aren't alone in this process too. Now that you've opened up contract, you have the escrow and title company that's going to be working essentially as an impartial third party. They're going to be helping you with the preliminary title report. They're going to pay off any property taxes or make sure that if you're due property tax money back at the end of closing, that you're going to get that as well. They're also going to ensure that if you have a loan that needs to be paid off, that gets taken care of prior to closings as well. So they're going to be in your corner and they're on your side. So you're not in this alone. We're here for you every step of the way. Now let's talk about the seller's responsibilities while you're in the closing process. It can really boil down to 6 general categories that we need to take a look at. The first one is maintain the home in good condition. The second one is making your house available to the home inspector. The third is making the house available to the home appraiser. If they're getting a loan on the house, they'll need access for the home appraiser to come in. The fourth is negotiating any repairs that the buyer might be asking as a result of the home inspection on your house. The fifth thing that you want to do is notify any of your utility providers and service providers of a final end contract date with them so that they know when to end the services and you can resume services at your new location if you're in the city with them, or if you're moving out of state, you can go ahead and begin setting up the services for the new place that you'll be moving to. Which brings us to the 6th point, prepared to move. Go ahead and get yourself some of those plastic tubs or boxes or whatever you want to do and begin the process of slowly moving out, or rapidly, depending on how excited you are, of getting everything ready to go for the final day whenever you're going to reach closing date and give the keys to the new buyer. Next, let's take a look at the buyer's responsibilities in the closing process. So there's actually a lot going on with the buyer's responsibilities. A lot of the burden of the closing process really falls on the buyer's shoulders, their loan officer, and the buyer agent. In specific, there's 5 main categories that they need to be accomplishing. The first is hiring a home inspector to come in and perform a home inspection. The second is negotiating any repairs that they're expecting to be made or asking you to make to the property. Keep in mind that generally cosmetic things aren't always addressed, but the more that you can do to help them have peace of mind, the better off they're going to be. The third is that they're going to be working with their loan officer to complete their loan application and ensure that everything is moving along nicely through the closing process as they prepare to close and finalize on the sale of your home. The fourth thing they're going to need to do is get homeowners insurance. The fifth thing they're going to need to do is call all the utility companies, and this is where it could be even more helpful if you have all of those phone numbers ready to go. If there's any specific providers that you have, including any handyman services you like, any pool services, landscape services that you have, at this time, it's a good idea to go ahead and begin a homeowner journal for the new buyer of your home so they have all that information ready to go, and it's going to give them a little bit more peace of mind as they're calling all the utility companies to get the services started as of the closing date of your house that just became their new home. The third thing that's going to happen is prior to the closing day, the lender is going to be setting up any surveys that might be required pursuant to the loan type. This becomes particularly relevant if someone is buying a home in rural United States with a USDA loan. Sometimes surveys are going to be required, and ensure that you have all of your boundary markers ready to go and can be supplied over to the survey specialist. You may also want to complete surveys of your own just to ensure that everything is on the up and up and nice and easy for you. As a side point here, the buyer is more than likely going to be requesting what's called a buyer's final walkthrough. The purpose of the buyer final walkthrough is to simply ensure that the home is in the same condition as at the time that they made an offer on your property and negotiated any of the repairs that you guys have both agreed to make. They want to make sure that those are done prior to closing, hence final walkthrough. The fourth thing is closing day. Now, as closing day approaches, and the way that it's best defined is a day that your deed is sent over to the county assessor or the county courthouse. Depending on your city and your county, depends on who it gets recorded with. Like here in Las Vegas, Nevada, it'll go to the county assessor's office. After they confirm they have received it and they have updated the deed to the new buyer's name, who is now the legal owner, it's called a recordation confirmation or confirmation of recordation. Really fancy words just to say you're closed. And it's what you want to hear as a seller, knowing that everything's done. The mortgage mortgage that if you had one on the house is now paid off, all the property taxes are up and current, any of the prorations that need to be done, title calculated those numbers, and it's all been satisfied. What this means to you is that you're going to get ready to get your payday if you had equity in your home, or you went in with some money if you owed a little bit more than you needed after the cost to sell. So that brings us around to the fifth main thing that we should talk about, and that's what are you going to need to bring to escrow. There's 6 things that you need to be concerned about bringing to escrow. The first is if your home is paid off, you'll need to bring a copy of your deed with you to the title company if you haven't already sent it to them. The second thing is your driver's license or a photo identification card so they can validate it it's you. This will be needed especially if any documentation needs to be notarized. In many cases, documentation will need to be notarized that the official party that owned the property and the official party that's buying the property are in fact who they say they are. The third thing is to make sure that you bring your bank account information with you, specifically the account that you want the money deposited to and your bank routing number. The title officer will give you the option to either pick up your check directly from their office when it's ready, or they can do you a solid and mail it to your new location or simply wire the money into your account. Hence why you would like to have your bank account information with you. At the same time, if you owe more money than you have available in equity, you might need to be prepared to wire money to the escrow account or to get a certified cashier's check to bring with you to the title company depending on your circumstance. You'll know all of this well in advance before your closing day meeting with the title officer. The fourth thing that you're going to need to have ready to go are your keys, your garage remotes, your mailbox keys, and also the location of the mailbox if you have a mailbox bank so that the new buyer knows where to get their mail. And if you have a home security system, any quick sets on your door with dial pads, or any additional locks on the property, this is the time to get everything together in a nice Ziploc bag and ready to go for the buyer. The fifth thing that you want to have ready to go are any of the home warranties that you may have had on the property or home warranties that you're extending to the incoming buyer, any of the warranty or manufacturer booklets for any of the appliances in the house, from the water heater to the refrigerator to the range to the stove to the microwave to the pool pump to anything that you have in that house, reverse osmosis systems, so that they have that information and they know whom to contact or how to order part numbers should they need it during their time owning the home. The sixth thing that you should do is actually have the house professionally cleaned if at all possible, or at least clean the house. Nobody likes doing everything they need to do to buy a house and only to move in, and before they can put one single thing in the house, they gotta go in there and play Merry Maids and clean the whole house before they can put anything down. It's the last thing they're gonna wanna do when they come home, so it's the polite and right thing to do to ensure the house is clean prior to closing day so it's nice and spick and span for when they arrive at their new home for the first time. Now you might be wondering what the seller pays whenever they get ready to go to closing. Now that's really a matter of your state and your local area as far as what is customary for a seller to pay. Just remember that if you agree to something in writing with a buyer to pay, then you're obligated to pay for that. You can't renegotiate this far into the process. Once the contract has been agreed upon between you and the buyer, anything that you agreed to up front needs to be carried through to now, and that will be something that you'll be paying for. Now you might be wondering, what are the typical seller closing costs when getting ready to sell a home? And that's a great question. It's one that you should have outlined with your trusted real estate advisor up front in what's called an estimated net sheet. Now that the time has come that you're getting ready to close on your home, there are a few things that you should be aware of. One of those things is that there shouldn't be any surprises at this stage in the game what you have agreed to with the buyer in your contract to pay for and what they've agreed to pay for. What is typical for a seller to pay for are the real estate commissions for both the listing agent and the buyer agent, hence the overall real estate commission amount. You may also have what are called real property transfer taxes, any kind of county taxes, state or local taxes that may also apply in your area. All of these things will be broken down from the title officer to you in what's called an estimated settlement statement. The estimated settlement statement you will have the opportunity to review. You could review it with your trusted real estate advisor. You can review it with a title officer, whomever you choose. The buyer will also get an estimated settlement statement breaking down the numbers and the costs associated with purchasing your property. Everything is broken down line by line, and now is the time to issue any questions that you may have had and ask any questions that might be on your mind prior to closing. Just remember that if you agree to something in contract, you're not going to be able to change it after the fact. Whatever you agree to up front is a contract with the buyer. So with that contract, you will be obligated to pay for anything that you have already negotiated with to this point. The seventh thing are typical seller expenses. What are typical seller expenses when you get ready to close on a home? The first thing are any unpaid mortgage balances on your home, any home equity lines of credit that you may have if this applies to you. The second thing are the real estate estate commissions. The third thing are any property taxes that are unpaid that need to be satisfied up to the date of closing, any of your homeowner's insurance bills that need to be satisfied up to the closing, and if you're in a condominium, townhome, or a co-op community, any of the other fees associated with that that need to be paid up to closing. The fourth thing are the escrow fees and any attorney fees as applicable. Any liens that are against the property might be against the property if that applies to you will also need to be satisfied in addition to any judgments or any other encumbrances against your property. Again, work with your title officer on this and work with your trusted real estate advisor acting as your listing agent to ensure you know all of your responsibilities prior to closing. Alright my friends, so now that you have a better understanding and a bird's eye view of the home selling closing process, let's take a closer look at what the home closing process really looks like step by step so that you're able to know what to expect moving forward, and let's break down those seller closing costs on an itemized basis. Look forward to chatting with you again soon. We'll see you in a few.